Birds of Prey number 5, written by Duane Swierczynski, art by Jesus Saiz. We left off last issue with the Birds of Prey plus Batgirl making their way into a building that holds these cleaner guys that they're looking for, and then as soon as they get in there, they get their mind wiped and they end up out on a street. I just don't remember anything. This issue picks up immediately where we left off. They're talking about how they don't remember anything of where they ended up. Poison Ivy is like, "Hey, Starling, wasn't your hand broken?" And she's like, "No, my hand's fine. I have no idea what you're talking about." And then they look around and see that there's this whole like armed militia around them in the middle of this city. Apparently they don't matter though, because they literally don't name them or like care that they're fighting them at all. They just have this conversation about how they're like, "Does anyone remember anything at all?" Black Canary remembers everyone was in the room and then they just suddenly were out here. They don't remember what happened. Poison Ivy remembers the same thing, but she doesn't remember that Batgirl was there. She only remembers that there were 5 people. She couldn't remember the 5th. And then Starling and everyone else thinks that nobody fought anybody, but Katana talks to her husband in the sword and was like, "No, actually we fought dozens of them for many hours. That's what my husband says." And everyone's like, "Right, okay, yeah, cool. So can anyone like figure out what happened here?" And Poison Ivy, she's automatically like, "Okay, this is dumb. Clearly that didn't happen. I'm willing to help you figure it out, but you're all losing your marbles." And Starling's like, "How did you end up here then, huh?" And she's like, "Fair point. Okay." So at this point, they've knocked everybody out, and they're like, "All right, look, let's get out of here." They go back to a safe house, and they're like, "We need to rest and regroup. Let's all meet up in 24 hours. I know a place to go. And just so nobody's confused with any other memory stuff, I'm going to write it down on your arms." So she writes an address down on Starling's arm, and Poison Ivy says, "Hey, you're not putting any of those inky chemicals on my skin. Just let me see the address." So she writes down the address, and we see it's the roof of the R.H. Kane building. So everyone goes their own ways for a day just to relax and rest up, which relaxing not so much. Starling goes out to a shooting range. She practices her shot. She can't remember having broken her hand, and her hand is fine now, so she genuinely is like confused as to why that was brought up at all. But she does think that something happened, so she goes, and I don't know if we've ever met this character before, but she goes and like up the fire escape to a woman named June, who she says that she really, really needs to talk to her, and then June's just like, "Damn you, Ev." So I guess there's history there. Batgirl goes and talks to Black Canary, and Black Canary's like, "Hey, did you come with us last night?" And Batgirl's like, "No, what are you talking about? I told you I'm not a huge fan of your team. You guys have like killers and whatnot." And she's like, "Okay, all right. Just wanted to find out. Okay, bye." So she goes out. She starts in a dojo. She starts training, and Katana comes in her civilian outfit, and they just, they talk about how they're feeling and how they feel more alone than ever, despite the fact they're on a team. And Katana tells her like, "Well, you have friends. You have me, and you have Starling, and I guess you can count Poison Ivy." And they laugh over that. Then we see Poison Ivy. She's just out in the middle of some woods, I guess, regrowing or getting nutrients or whatever. And a dude in a suit shows up. She starts to attack him. But when she sees who it is, she asks if he has... Well, first off, he asks her how the hero thing is going and whether or not they trust her on the team, which she said she does. And then they make it clear they have some sort of agreement. And Poison Ivy gets a briefcase full of some glowing green something. It's not revealed yet. So then we see Dinah. She's in a diner. And she sees a face in the newspaper for a missing person named Eric Beetner. And it makes her have this big realization. She runs out of the diner and calls up Trevor, who I think was the doctor from like a couple issues. And she's like, "Hey, you want to have a drink like right now?" So then we cut to 24 hours after they said they meet up 24 hours from now. And it's the roof of the R.H. Kane building. And Black Canary, Katana, Poison Ivy, and also Batgirl are there. And she doesn't remember having been there. And I don't know why she was called here, why she shows up, but she's there. And her and Poison Ivy have a standoff for a second, but then Black Canary gets in the way. And she's like, "All right, so here's the thing. I found this face in the newspaper. This is the face of the guy who blew us up like 2 issues ago. Like, he's the one who exploded. So basically she comes to the conclusion that normal people are just being pulled off the streets and turned into sleeper agents. So instead of trying to chase down Choke, they need to chase down these sleeper agents who will then lead them to Choke. Despite the fact that they found Choke last issue, I'm really confused by that. But regardless, she is convinced it's a good plan. And then she realizes, like, wait a minute, hold on, where's Starling? Why isn't she sewn up yet? And then we see Starling, she's standing on a bridge, and she looks down at her arm, and written on her arm is the Finger River Bridge. And she's like, why am I the only one here right now? Suddenly some men with guns show up behind her, and she's like, wait a minute, Black Canary set me up, son of a bitch. So she jumps off the bridge, getting shot a couple of times on the way down. And we end on her, you know, swimming away. It's just a thing of her recounting a previous line. I like this issue, but not for the reasons that, like, the issue itself, you know? I like the mystery that it's going on of, like, okay, what's actually going on here, you know? Because we had just that skip ahead of, okay, did we fight? Did we lose our memories? Like, what happened? Katana says we fought. And I trust her sword more than I trust everybody else here, which is strange to say. But then why did Black Canary write down the wrong location on Starling's arm? Why did Batgirl not remember being there? Like, there's a whole bunch of missing pieces here, and I am interested in learning why. But as it stands with just this particular issue and how it's written, like, everyone just goes off and does their own thing and then shows back up later. And Black Canary seemingly comes to the point that I feel like she should have come to 2 issues ago. Like, that they're using sleeper agents. Because why else would a judge and some random politician guy be the... Like, it just doesn't make any sense that she wouldn't have come to this earlier. That's just my personal opinion. I'm going to give this one a 6.5. Everything in that is technically fine. I don't have any problems with anything it does. I do feel like I was supposed to know this June thing beforehand, but if that's also setting up the mystery, then okay, I guess. It just felt like a padding issue that didn't need to be there, but as long as it is here, I'm happy with the mystery they're setting up. But you literally could have just gone from the last issue and had them done the fight, and then I feel like you could have picked up with whatever the next issue is going to be. But yeah, that's just me. 6.5. We'll see how it goes from there.